Hello, sleepy friends. You can still be my friend even if you're not sleepy. This is Dawn from Going Beyond Coping and Positively Narcolepsy on Facebook, goingbeyondcoping.com, and Going Beyond Coping channel on YouTube. Getting it out there. This is another of my Wednesday series, What Happens If I Don't? Where I ask myself questions in the past, and it led me to a new level of coping. And I want to share that. Coping with chronic illness isn't just your physical symptoms, it's also the way that you feel inside of your head. And when you feel down, depressed, unliked, unheard, unappreciated, those kind of things can weigh you down and make your symptoms even harder to deal with. So by tackling those things myself, I was able to alleviate my emotional suffering. And I'm sharing these stories in the hope that they'll resonate with you and you will find your own way to going beyond coping into thriving and loving your life. This episode is what happens if I don't need people to like me. As we go through life, we're exposed to things. You know, we're born and then our parents teach us stuff, and then we go to school and we learn stuff, and we learn stuff from our friends and stuff from books and television, and whether we're intentionally looking for the stuff or the stuff comes to us, we're constantly learning things. And one thing that's really important to realize is that reading and watching something, therefore knowing it exists, even understanding it to a point, is very, very different from living it and applying it. And I gave the little example of riding a bike, because everyone can comprehend that. There was a time where you read about a boy in your little book in school riding a bike. And even if you hadn't ridden a bike, you get the general concept. You sit on the bike and you push the pedals and it takes you places. So you can understand that. You can see it. You could even watch a video of someone riding a bike. You could even stand on the back of someone's bike and hold their shoulders. All that can happen, and you still have no idea what it's like to actually ride a bike. And when you get on that bike, you may be a natural takeoff. You got your gravity, you got your balance going, or you may fall on your face until you learn. And you learn by doing. So you practice pushing the pedal and keeping your balance. And you can replace riding a bike with literally anything. Self-esteem, confidence, boundaries. I talked about that last week in my Wednesday video, that I knew about boundaries for decades before they really sunk in. Sometimes you just have to do something in order to really understand it. So I learned about boundaries. I talked about boundaries. I encouraged other people to hold their boundaries, but I wasn't living that myself because I just didn't get it. Like, I never tried. I never put that into application. And that was another one of my questions. What happens if I say no and mean it? And I just started trying it. I started trying to say no when my needs were greater than the other, and it worked. And I was like, oh, I want more of this. Throwing boundaries all over the place. Just once you really get something, like in your core, get it, it's very difficult to go back to the way that you used to be. And I used to be a real giver and boundaryless one at that. And that's also known as a doormat. Some of you have probably been there before, where you feel like you're giving everything and getting nothing, and people are taking advantage of you. And that's something that you can do something about with boundaries. So if you haven't read about them or learned about them, go. Google's chock full of stuff. I highly recommend Brene Brown on YouTube. She talks about boundaries in a very fun way, and you don't get tired listening to her. Okay, so I want to take happiness as an example of that. Read about it, understood it, lived it. I was a long time finding happiness. I was 41 before it really sunk in and I really felt it. Like I had been happy in spurts, but my default was misery. I was just miserable. And then I did this gratitude exercise and I got to know myself better and be the person that I wanted to be. And then boom, there it was. There it is. And it was there. And once I knew it was mine, I could share it in limitless amounts. And it was always still just there for me. It was my default. And I can't tell you exactly step by step how I got there, but a lot of these concepts have to do with that. Gratitude being the biggest one. If you're unhappy and you understand happiness, but you've never truly experienced it, I challenge you to do a gratitude challenge. The one I did was to list 10 things a day for 30 days. And I decided to get aggressive and I did 100. I listed 100 things a day for 30 days that I was grateful for. And I only repeated about 20% of the list. So it was dig time. I had to look. I was grateful for honeybees and purple flowers and people who held the door open for me. I just looked and looked and looked for things that I could add to this list. And each time I added it, I felt that gratitude for that thing. I just didn't, go through the dictionary and write down 80 words. No, I experienced a thing. And even if it was a tiny bit of gratitude, it went on my list. The saltiness of a hot French fry, when you're feeling it and you're listing it, it really goes in. It goes in deep. And it wasn't long after I did that boom, happiness just was there. There were a lot of other things involved. And I'm kind of talking about a lot of them as I go through this series. But yeah, there you go. Okay, so what happens if I don't need anyone to like me? The time I asked myself this question, I was borderline needy. Like I used to say to my friends, I'm not needy, I'm wanty. And there's a difference. And when you need something, I made a note in here that I wanted to look at. Okay, so when you're sad and lonely and you feel like no one likes you, which is where I spent most of my life, trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Your neediness manifests in ugly social skills. I guess that's a nice way to put it. Talking too much, missing social cues, misunderstanding that a simple conversation does not equal a friendship. That seems kind of basic, don't it? But yeah, no, I was the person who would meet someone and think, oh, well, we really connected. This is great. I have more people that I'm connected to now. And nope, I must have imagined it all because I never heard from the people again. Yesterday, I talked in the dose about why do people like you. I wanted you to think about, if you were reading that, why is it that people like you? And back then, people liked me because I was dramatic. I was needy, very needy. I had a lot of stories and they were all reality show material, I guess is a good way to put it. And a lot of people love that reality show stuff. They love to watch it and then they love to turn it off. And that's what would happen. I was great at parties and people dug that, but I was a bit of a train wreck and people didn't want that in their everyday life, and neither do I. So I totally get that. But my problem was the whole let's do lunch or I'll call you. I took people for their word, you know. If someone expresses to you that they're interested in you, that they like what you're talking about, if they give you signals to continue and they're laughing, having a great time, you feel like things went a certain way. It's really no different than dating, right? Like you go on a date and you talk to each other, and can you stand the way they look, the way they sound, the way they eat? Can you see it going any further than this one meal? And then you just don't know until it's over, until you see what happens. And I'm glad that I finally realized all of this stuff, because it took me a really long time to understand that I was the common denominator. I mean, sorry. I was entertaining, and I misconstrued that as liked. So yeah, had to get in touch with that one. But I did. So then I started living this way, where I was like, don't tell me, show me. I miss you. Great. You say that to me once every 6 or 8 months. How much can you miss me if that's the only time I ever hear from you? So people can tell you things and say things to you and place their words in your ears. But unless they're walking that talk, you have to listen to both. You can't pin everything on what people say. You have to watch what they do too. When your words match your actions, you'll never have to tell anyone who you are. They'll know who you are. And I think people who knew me back then knew I was a mess. I mean, I had a lot of things going on. And then as I started to recover from that, I met new people. And those people would see me differently now than they did then, because I'm a completely different person now, but a lot of them don't even know it because they haven't spent any time with me. So it's difficult when you have other people. If you want other people to like you, that's normal. That's super healthy. You don't burp in public or say rude things. You keep certain opinions to yourself. You know, whatever it is that you're doing because you want people to like you, that's fine. But when you get into needy territory is when you start doing things for people that you probably shouldn't be doing, or saying things to people like you shouldn't be saying, like that whole gossip trap I always talk about. People would draw me into gossip and I'd give my honest opinion that they would then take to the person that they were talking about first. But I was the bad guy. And it happened over and over again, and I couldn't figure out why or how. So I just decided that I needed to stop saying anything altogether, and then there won't be anything to go back to anybody else. And that changed me a lot too. What happens if I don't gossip? I'll have to do that one too. But the reality is that some people just aren't going to like you. It's going to happen. People are energy, and even though you can't see it, it can be measured, and sometimes you get the same energy level as someone else. And I don't mean wakefulness. I'm not talking about whether or not you're both awake. I'm talking about what are you emitting? You know, are you meditating? Are you pushing out love? Are you pushing out kindness? Or are you still just swirling in your pit of misery. Because whatever you're feeling inside of yourself, about your life, about who you are, is emitting from you. That's how you can look at someone and know if they're in a good mood or not, if they're happy, if, you know, of course, people can put on a false face and pretend to be happy, yes. But typically those people, their energy won't match. So you'll get that saying thing and that doing thing not equal to each other. Some people can pull it off and some people can't. And it really just depends on if you're only seeing their highlight reel or if you see more of their life. So if anyone's outside of your purview for more than a day, you really have no freaking idea what they're going through. Anything could have happened between then and then. You just don't know. And it's that knowing that you can't know, that you don't know, that keeps you from judging people. And just understanding that some people aren't going to like you. It's okay that they don't like you. As long as you know yourself and you like yourself and what you're all about and what you're putting out into the world, that's what matters. Because you're going to attract those people who dig that, right? Like, I'm doing these videos and some people are going to love them and some people are going to be like, God, that chick's annoying. Oh my God. And that's okay. I'm here for the people who need it and want it and just being me, you know? And I'm good with that. I'm good with the people not liking me because we're just not at the same place. And that's okay, because that's, if everybody was like me, the world would be really crazy. I am a bit intense. So I really believe that happy matters, and that's, it's not just a tagline, it's a lifeline. And when you can cling to the little bits of happy, they can build up over time and they can help restore you and restore your symptoms. So if you're busy being worried about people not liking you, that's creating a feeling inside of you, a need, a lack, a desire for something that you don't have, and that makes you sad. Whether you acknowledge it or not is irrelevant. It's all happening in your back brain, subconscious, or whatever they call that, you know? No matter how bad you're stuck in the suck, you can still be happy. Even when you're in pain all the time, you can still find things to be happy about, and you can hold on to those. That doesn't make the pain go away. You haven't fixed yourself. You're just focused on something else other than your pain. And it took me a long time to get here, and a lot of experiments and a lot of practice and a lot of listening to videos and reading articles and books and blogs and other people's stories. And I couldn't do it alone. I don't think anybody really can do it alone. You know, your life only changes by the people that you meet and the things that you read or watch. Yeah, so I got here, and I think that I can't recall ever listening to anything that talked about things this way. So I want to share that with the world, because if listening to my story helps you think even just a little bit differently, it changes your perspective, opens up your mind to something new. You can put it through the you filter, and whatever comes out the bottom that really resonates with you is the good stuff, you know. It's the thing you can put into action and try it. Hey, what happens if I don't need people to like me? And then just go find out. That's really all there is to it. There are 2,000 people now in the Positively Narcolepsy group talking about coping and symptom management and encouraging each other. And I'm sure that not all those people like me. A lot of people have left the group, whatever. It's okay that people don't like you. Just focus on the ones that do. And if you're like me in the past, where no one seemed to really like me, and I really, really had a hard time navigating that, then you got to dig in to you and go back to the, I think it was judgment. What happens if I don't accept the judgment of others? There was a worksheet in there, things I like about myself, things I don't like about myself. And start with that. If you don't like it about you, it's highly likely that other people don't like it about you. And that's what's getting in the way of you having, the life that you want to have. You got to really lean into who you are and be totally good with it. And that can be hard, especially if we have things in our past that maybe we haven't gotten over yet. But doing these exercises might help you get over them. They happen to a different person. That you're not the same person that you were even a year ago. So you decide, what happens inside your head. It's the only place you can really control is your thought cave. As you're piloting your faulty meat suit through this life, figuring out what your brain is doing and where it's going and what it's thinking, and filling it up with other stuff, that's what's going to give you more go juice. I'm going to wrap this up. Please like the video. It'll help more people see it. And you can find this video also on YouTube. And I've posted a companion text. Actually, I haven't done that yet. That'll be probably tomorrow. If you get the daily dose, the text for this video went out already this morning. From there, I shoot the video and then upload it, and that takes a long time. So I don't release the video until 3 p.m. But the text went out. If you want to get in on the daily dose, which is positivity and a little bit more depth into the concepts that I'm talking about on Wednesdays, it's Motivational Monday, Transformation Tuesday, What Happens If I Don't Wednesday, Thankful Thursday, Bugly, Thankful Thursday, and Find the Joy Friday. And I'm going to go before my dog ruins this and I have to shoot it again. You be quiet. He's over here. Okay, good. Good boy. That's it. If you want to sign up for the dose and you haven't, go to goingbeyondcoping.com and just use the search feature and search dose, and the sign up form will come up. Thank you for your support. Bugly says we gotta go. Make it a great day, people. The choice is always yours.